Welcome to the Financial Coaches Podcast, where we talk about how to build your practice from startup to scale up while being the kind of coach your clients crave. Finally, a podcast for financial coaches. Here are your hosts, Maria Casillas and Cody Sizemore.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Financial Coaches Podcast. We are just honored to have Ryan here with us today from Qube Money. Ryan, welcome to the Financial Coaches Podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Maria. Thank you, Cody, for having me on. Big fan of the show, so it's exciting to be
And
with
how did you
today.
find the show?
So a couple months ago when I was really starting off as a financial coach with Qube, I'm a huge podcast aficionado, and so I feel that's kind of always a first step for me when I'm exploring a new area, just to see kind of what some of the leading podcasts are and try to gain some knowledge that way. So yeah, go figure. I typed in financial coaches podcast and you guys had the SEO title locked down. So I think you guys were the first one that popped up, and yeah, I've just been listening ever since and really appreciate the wisdom you guys bring, the insights, and as well as that of the guests that you have on. So yeah, it's crazy to be on with you guys now.
Yeah, well, we are honored to have you. And that's why I asked, I wanted all of our listeners to know that that's how we found you, just that you were a listener of the podcast. And you said, you know what, I have some value that I think that your audience could benefit from. And so we want everyone to hear that and know that we are absolutely open to having people on who are going to provide value. And we're really excited that you're going to be sharing your story with our listeners today. So thanks for coming on.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you guys.
You bet.
So Ryan, for those of you who don't know, Maria actually has another podcast of her own. It's called Make Money Behave, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes. And Maria and Ryan, I guess, connected outside of our conversations. And Ryan was actually a guest on her podcast. And they talked about similar things. But she tells me that he has quite the cool story. So I'm sitting here on the edge of my seat. You know, the suspense is killing me. But Ryan, why don't you just take a second and just tell people, you know, like your story, who you are, why you're here, all that kind of stuff.
Sure. Yeah. I'll try to, undersell and over deliver, right?
Right.
I like to think we all have
really
cool
set
stories.
You up.
I know. High bar.
No pressure.
Yeah, so no, my story is cool, just like all of our stories are cool and unique. Nothing terribly crazy, but yeah, I would say so. I live in Des Moines, Iowa. I'm married to my wonderful wife, Victoria. We have two boys under 2, Eamon and George. Actually, Eamon, our oldest, will be 2 years on the 5th of June. So birthday coming up. So excited for that. As far as my story goes, I've graduated from the University of Iowa in 2012. And since then have worked kind of a bunch of different jobs. I was in nonprofit ministry for a few years. And then my job right before transitioning to financial coaching was in full-time pest control. So I think the line I used on Maria's show was that I was spraying houses and slaying mouses. So that was kind of our unofficial
I love it.
tagline.
Which is way easier to hear than it is
anymore,
to
say. Something about, and I'm an English major, so saying mouses just
it is hard.
Doesn't feel right, but it sounds funny. But I would say during those 4 years in pest control, you know, it was a great job for what I needed it to be at the time. Just newly married, and you know, supporting me and my wife, and then a growing family. But during that time was when I really started exploring various financial podcasts and kind of became aware of the financial independence movement. And so started exploring that, and actually started my own podcast called Mining for Time, where I really explore kind of stewardship and kind of a biblical look at money. So kind of similar to like a Dave Ramsey, but taking it further into just kind of the financial independence sphere. So, and I would say I've always been very interested in personal finance and have kind of organically helped some friends and family just with simple things like budgeting. And so kind of fast forward to this past year, I had a good friend who is a financial advisor, and he and his partner were actually looking for someone to bring on to kind of roll out this new tool called Qube Money to their clients. And so since I'd been having conversations with my friend, he knew that that was an interest of mine, approached me with the opportunity, and I really just kind of took the leap and have been doing it for the past 3-4 months. So it's been a big transition, obviously, going from kind of a very structured work day of just being in my truck, going and doing my jobs, and then that's that, to just kind of like being a solopreneur, having some oversight, but really just kind of being given the keys to the car and told, yeah, just go make this work. And so it's been awesome, and I love being able to, you know, as a podcaster and a fan of podcasts, being able to connect with people like you guys and learn from you, and then hopefully share any value with your audience that I can.
Yeah, I love the amount of collaboration that is in there. And your story actually reminds me a little bit of Cody's story as well, in the sense that, you know, he's the primary breadwinner for his family, and, you know, went from kind of like a 9 to 5 to here's the keys to the car, figure out how to make that happen. And so I really love that, how, you know, you guys are able to see something that is valuable to other people, but also realize that it's something that is not guaranteed, and yet you're willing to take a risk and to take a chance because there's a really strong foundational why for you. Tell us a little bit about your foundational why, if you would, Ryan.
Yeah, that's a great question. It always comes back to my why, and just having an understanding of what my core values are and what I feel my purpose is, as a husband, as a father, as a worker, as a coach. And so for me, and what I talk about in my podcast a lot, for me, it always comes back to just the desire for time freedom. So, you know, the past couple of years have been a transition of just getting married and then having young kids, and realizing I, you know, wanted to just have as much time with them as possible. And my wife and I shared this with you, Maria, on your show, a while back, kind of when I was first stepping into exploring financial independence, we did this cool exercise where we sat down and just both on our own wrote our top 10 list of the things in life that bring us the most joy and fulfillment. And then we shared those together, and we were both, I think, just pleasantly surprised to see that the things on our list were very simple things. They were like going on walks together, spending time with our son, going on dates, going dancing. We also had on there like travel and eating out. So there were some things that required some money, but by and large, like our values reflected just very simple things and just time together, and things that didn't require us to spend thousands and thousands of dollars. And so kind of, you know, now asking the question, all right, does our spending and our money habits, are those an accurate reflection of what we value? And so for me, as I kind of applied that to my career, I saw kind of the disconnect there of just like, I'm gone, and then when I get home, I'm really tired. And so how can I do a work that I'm passionate about, that I feel like really can help others, but then also empowers me in the other areas of my life as a husband and father, just to be present. So yeah.
Love that. Absolutely love that. Quick little side note. I have a new tagline for you. Are you ready for it? Okay.
I hope so.
I went from slaying mice to making your money look nice.
Ooh.
Bomb dropped.
That's promising right there, Cody. Yeah. I think the show's over. That's all we needed to hear today.
No, let it keep working. I want to see if we can work mouses in there. Back to the drawing board, Cody. Come on.
It's a promising start.
Right.
Sure. We can work with that.
All right. In all seriousness, though, let's get into the real reason as to why we're here. So obviously we are here to talk about what you're doing with Qube Money. So for those of the listeners that have no idea what Qube Money is, why don't you just take a few moments to just explain like what it is, how it works, who it benefits, all that kind of stuff, and we'll just dig into it and start picking it apart.
And before you do that, I want to let the listeners know why we are doing this. Because I believe, as you hear Ryan talk, you're going to say there's going to be some clients you're like, that's not what is going to be good for them. And then there will be some that come to mind where you're like, oh my gosh, like I know so-and-so and so-and-so this would be great for. Our job or our desire for you guys is to allow you to have several tools to choose from. So we want to give you a toolbox filled with valuable tools that, in a situation where a hammer is not going to be good, a screwdriver will be exactly what you need. And so that's how I want you to think about Qube as he's talking about the different tenants, the different things that happen with it. And so anyway, go ahead, Ryan. I just want to make sure people knew it wasn't just some random app, but it is a tool that our coaches can use. And FYI, it's a tool for your clients, you guys. I mean, coaches can use it as well, but this is more of a tool that your clients can use.
For sure. Yep. That's a good context to offer, Maria. Mm-hmm. Thank you. So going back to the why, I'd say the mission of Qube is they want to help millions of people, break the paycheck to paycheck cycle, eliminate debt, and then really experience lasting success and peace with their finances. And so while there are countless tools that do help people, budget and improve their money management, I would say Qube takes it a step further by really helping users address a lot of the psychology around money, so your beliefs, purpose, and your habits. And that's built into the methodology of how Qube works, but it's also a big factor in the Qube Masters course that they offer to people who sign up. And so this is where I've seen in my own life and other people's lives, moving beyond just the tool, but really giving them the knowledge and even kind of the mindset shift to allow for long-term financial transformation. And so what Qube is, it's a digital budgeting and banking solution, and it gives people the power of the cash envelope system on your phone. So yeah, most of us know what cash envelopes are, especially if you come from the Dave Ramsey school of thought. And we know that in principle, it works because you're just spending from your budget, from your plan. But we also know if we've used envelopes for any amount of time that it can be clunky, it's antiquated, and it can be kind of risky just carrying around hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars in cash. So Qube really just takes that principle and that system, puts it on your phone, and you use the app in tandem with your actual debit card. And so it just gives you real-time financial awareness, and you're spending proactively from your budget. It's proactive instead of reactive. So you're not spending and then tracking. You're actually tracking as you spend on what you value. So that's it in a nutshell. And we can certainly talk about some of the features or the utility of it, kind of wherever you guys want to take this.
Yeah. So how does the envelope system get in the mix here? Like, can you explain like what that looks like within the app and how that works?
For sure. Yep. So when you sign up for Qube, you're gonna create an account. It's gonna take you through all the prompts. It'll just ask for some basic information, and then you actually download the Qube app. And so once you've kind of done all that, and I actually have made a video walking people through just the sign up process and the account creation. It only takes, it's less than 10 minutes, super simple. So once you've got it all created, you're going to go on the app and you just create cubes, which you can just think of as your envelopes. So actually when you first sign up, you're already going to have cubes for like your groceries. I think there's one for just kind of miscellaneous personal spending. Maybe fuel is one of them as well. So really just getting you started on some just very simple steps, because most people, if they just honed in on like their groceries and their personal spending or their household spending, that'd be, the difference of hundreds of dollars a month. So what you do when you use the app is, let's say I go to a coffee shop and I want to get a cup of coffee. I open up the app on my phone And then I open up my personal spending. All that takes about 3-4 seconds. And then I actually don't even use my physical debit card. I just hold my phone up and do the Apple Pay, and my Qube card is in there. So the whole transaction takes maybe 5 seconds. And then it'll process that transaction for that cup of coffee. My budget will update in that moment. I'll receive a notification that it's gone through, and I'm done. Like, I've made the transaction. I've seen how much money I have left. My budget's updated, and I can go about my day. So that's really how simple it is. And I will say, on average, new users are saving about $440 a month just by using Qube. So
Nice. So it has a way of basically being like, if you were to go to Kroger for groceries, Qube will know like, hey, like this is for groceries, right? And then it takes away from your groceries Qube. Is that correct?
Yep, exactly.
That's awesome.
And it's a zero-based budgeting, so there's actually no money on the card until you open the Qube, and then that money goes into that Qube, pulls for that transaction, and then again, there's a zero-based budget on that card. So that really protects you from theft or unplanned purchases. So if you lose that card, nobody can use it because they have to use the app as well.
Mm-hmm. What I love about it is that, so I'm a really big advocate on the envelope system. I really think that is like one of the secret weapons that can really help people not just do a budget, but also stick to it. And as I've been working with my clients, there are some clients that really excel with it. Like they do a fantastic job. They love it. But then there's other clients who struggle with it. Maybe the act of having to go to the bank and pulling out cash. Maybe they don't live close to a bank, or they don't live close to an ATM. It's just inconvenient for them. And then they have a question of like, well, what if I make an online purchase? Do I need to like take money out of my envelope and then put it back in the ATM and like all this kind of stuff, right? I think for those clients who struggle with the cash-based system, that this is like a perfect solution, because it takes those two worlds and just combines them, and I'm thinking of like 4 or 5 people right now that I'm currently helping that this would be like perfect for.
Yeah,
so I love
absolutely.
it. I think that's
and I mean, yeah, and I will add, like, you set up Qubes for spending, but you can also set up bill Qubes for recurring expenses. So I've got, all of our bills in there. For the first time in my life, I actually see how many bills I have per month, and I see the total. Like, I've never had that type of knowledge. And so that's super powerful. I think it definitely gives clients, one, it will save them money, but I think even more powerful, it just gives them clarity, and it empowers them to just have the knowledge of really how much their life costs. And then they can start to see, some of these things I'm spending money on don't really align with my values, so I can cut that. And so that adds to what I'm saving, but it also just empowers them to spend in alignment with what they truly value in life. And then they can start to set up long-term financial goals. That's actually a feature that's going to be introduced very soon, where people can set up goals, whether that's for like a family vacation or a purchase, and kind of what Maria and I talked about on her show, just having that be a family goal, and for parents to involve their children in, and give them ownership over that, and just super powerful tools that I wish I would have had when I was young, but never too late.
Yeah, there's one thing I absolutely love about it, and it's that the whole idea about having your spending be able to be set up in alignment with your values. I mean, that's how I work with all of my clients. It's something that I think is oftentimes said, but I don't think is oftentimes actually worked towards. It just seems like a lot of coaches like, well, of course we're going to do the things that are, with your values, but no one ever takes the time to actually help figure out what those values are. And so they really don't know where they're going. Mm-hmm. And so I think one thing I really like about this is that you can set those Qubes up according to however you want. It's not just something that's absolutely prescriptive. The other thing that I want to point out is that, on this show, we always talk about how it doesn't have to be all or nothing. We don't always have to have, just this one thing that we're going to use. And so to Cody's point about people who want to be able to use a lot of the cash system, but maybe they are saving for a specific vacation, or like you said, they have like some online purchases. This can actually be used in conjunction with a cash value. I mean, it's not cash value, sorry, a cash system, because it's so personable. Like you can personalize it easily. And so you can be you don't have to use it for your groceries. Do you know what I mean? Like you can use cash for your groceries if you want, but then you can have Qube specifically for all those three or four different online purchases that you have, or that you typically see yourself making. So it's, as we get creative with how we help our clients, we have to remember that if somebody loves this, but it's not going to work for their entire system, it's okay to still integrate this as part of the system. And that goes for any of the tools that we share on this show. It doesn't have, we can piecemeal things together and it can still be really, really valuable for people.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would say my wife and I have been using Qube for about 6 months, and we certainly didn't transition everything over right at once. We started with some of those categories that we just knew we needed to hone in on. And yep. Actually, we'd been using Dave Ramsey EveryDollar app since the time we'd been married, and yet we were still overspending on our groceries, on our house needs. And so by just creating a Qube for those categories and saying, let's shoot for this amount, and then using it, we actually we're able to stay within the parameters we'd set for ourselves, just because of the methodology of visualizing what you have. And then if you see that it's the beginning of the month and your funds are running low, that's actually going to help curb that instant gratification of just like, yeah, I'll just swipe here and, maybe I'll take money from another thing that I was saving up for. But it's just crazy, like the psychology shift that it empowers people to take. And you use it for a couple of weeks, and then it's just fun to start adding more Qubes in, create some bill Qubes. I'm really excited to start doing the goal Qubes and just further integrating it into our lives.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely, I love it. I absolutely love it.
Mm-hmm. So all of this, I think, really shows to the benefit of the client, right? So how would, if there were coaches listening today and they're like, this is actually a pretty cool tool that I might want to introduce to some of my clients, how does that benefit the coach?
Yeah. So I think first and foremost, as a coach, and granted, I'm a newer coach, and so I have a lot to learn, still learning. One thing I found with the couple people that I've been working with is this is the area that they need the most help in for most people. If you can empower someone to just win each day in their month with their money management, it just is going to free you up as a coach to really then help them take a step back and look at more big picture of like, what are your goals for retirement? What are your goals for now that you're saving money? How can we pay off your debt faster? How can we start to take more creative approaches to investing? What are just some financial goals that you have? What are the bigger picture legacy pursuits that you have when it comes to your finances? So I would say that first and foremost is when you can just help them win with their budget. And I like to portray a budget as just a plan for your money, because budget is like a 4-letter word. People hear it and they tense up. But if you can just tell them like your budget is just your plan, and it's not your money telling you what you can or can't do. It's you telling your money what it will or won't do. And when you can help people align their spending with their values, then I like to say like every dollar you spend is a vote for or against what you value in life. Like that's such a powerful thought. So that primarily, but then I'd say as a coach, just how this is going to benefit you is, there's a coaching dashboard that Qube has just released. And so when it comes to the utility of getting people using it, you can use Qube in tandem with your coaching program that you already have. Or if you're a new coach, you can actually do what I did and go through Qube's coaching certification program, where it takes you through the various modules, and you go through their Qube Masters program, and it really takes you through a lot of the psychological philosophy around money and habits. So that's a great utility as a coach. Is if you are already established, then Qube can just be, like you said, Maria, another tool in your arsenal. But if you're a newer coach, you're wanting to get started, you can really go through Qube's certification and use the material that they've already created. So
I could see another couple of things too as benefits for the coach, and that is that this is doing a lot of the heavy lifting for us. So if you are the type of coach who has somebody sit down and print out their statements and have them, show you the last 3 to 6 months of expenses, for example, this is going to help you do a lot of that because it's already done. If they are utilizing the tool, then you are getting that feedback. It's physical feedback that as a coach you can sit down and look at with them and not feel like you've got to go back through that process. But the other thing is, with a cash system, when we're talking about, are you spending to your values? The one thing that I really don't love about the cash system, and we're just putting all of the little specifics aside, it's a plan and you put money into an envelope, and then we say when the money's gone, it's gone, which it all makes behavioral sense. But how do you know that you're actually spending it to your values, right? So if you have this fund money, for example, and I think Dave Ramsey used to call it blow money. The idea there is you just blow it, right? You just blow it on whatever you want. And when at the end of the month, when that's gone, it's gone, but you really don't know where it went unless you're actually writing down. And I mean, full disclosure, I never wrote down where I actually spent every dollar, just for the record. It was in the envelope and then I spent it and that was the end. But with something like this, like you can see, did that money go to Target? Did it go to Amazon? Did it go to some of these, did it go specifically to, eating out? And it allows you to kind of hone in a little bit more easily and more, it's more of a micro look, right? Rather than this macro look. And so when people are trying to figure out with their values, how does that look? That's really important. I think the other thing too, and I know Cody said, like, if you're at Kroger, does it automatically know that it's for groceries? You're actually telling it what cube to take it out of, correct? Okay. So,
yep.
So I like to use the example of Starbucks.
You would open your groceries cube.
Yeah. Yeah. So I like to use the example of Starbucks, for example. If you are connected just to a regular, app that connects to your bank, and then you go to Starbucks, it's going to put it maybe under what, like restaurants or groceries, or I don't know which one it does. But it makes those assumptions for you. When I talk to my clients, we talk about different types of values, and I won't go into too much over here. But I will say that one of the things we talk about is like legacy investments. So whether you have your own business or you're trying to leave a legacy for people. Another one is making memories. And then another one is just, like if it's an indulgence. So we've got those 3 different kinds. If you could go to Starbucks, and just because you're driving down the road, ready to go pick up your kids, you've had a rough day, and it's calling your name as you're turning the corner. And you're like, oh, my wheel just turned into this drive-through. I have no idea what happened. That's more of like that indulgence, right? And there's, by the way, nothing wrong with it. It's just think about what that is. And maybe it's an indulgence and maybe it's just a bad habit. Both of those things can be possible. But that's different than I'm going to meet my sister because I want to have a really good conversation with my sister. I want to go make this memory with her. Now that would be more of along the lines of making memories. And then what if you want to go meet somebody for this? Unfortunately, we don't live close enough where we could do this in person. But if we did, I would love to meet at a coffee place. And if I met at the coffee place, I'd pick up the tab. And when I pick up the tab, that wouldn't go under restaurants or groceries. That would go under legacy investments for me because I'm investing in my legacy as a business owner. Does that make sense? And so that's why I love, even though it's just one little transaction from the same place, it can go into 3 different cubes if I'm using that language. And that's what I love about this is that you decide which one is this coming from, and you're not letting, the powers that be make that decision for you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. I could add maybe even one more benefit for coaches if I may. So if you think of how many of your clients are married couples, and we all know the stress that a disunity in finances can cause on a marriage, and we don't need to go into the statistics around divorce and money, but with Qube, you can set up a joint account for spouses. And so like my wife and I, we have a joint account. It's very easy to set up. When I look at the app and she looks at the app, we see the both the same screen. We have our own debit cards. But we just use it in our day to day, and we can set up notifications. So, when she spends money on something, I'm notified, and vice versa. But I would say even before we used Qube and we were maintaining a monthly budget, our practice would be to sit down at the end of each month and kind of reflect on our spending and then kind of project for the next month. And that would take kind of a while. And especially early on in our marriage, it was kind of contentious because we were overspending, and I'm more of kind of the money-minded person. So it just took more effort on my part to get her on board. But I would say now with using Qube, like we don't even do that time anymore because it's just updating as we're using it. So if we do anything, we maybe spend 5 minutes at the end of the month and say, hey, maybe we actually didn't even like hit our budget for these couple of cubes. Do we keep it at the same amount, or do we decrease it and reallocate that money towards something else? And I just think for a coach, if you have couples and they implement this tool, it's going to simplify it so much. And going back to just thinking big picture, like the conversations you're going to be able to have with those couples then of like saving up for college or saving for a vacation or just the type of charity they want to implement in their family is going to be very powerful.
Yeah.
So.
And I know with envelopes, it's hard sometimes to know how much each person gets. So for groceries, for example, if you've got, $300, but you want your husband to be able to go to the grocery store every once in a while. It's like, do I give him $50? Do we split it in half? And I have a client right now who they're like, we're just going to split it in half. Like, that's super smart, but I'm going to just hold back on that for a second. And I let them see and she's like, oh, I ran out of mine at the beginning, and he hasn't run out of his yet. And I'm like, well, that's because he doesn't do the grocery shopping for the family, when we were doing it, I just put like a $20 bill in my husband's glove compartment because I didn't have him go very often. But if I wanted him to stop at the store and get a loaf of bread or a gallon of milk or, eggs, whatever, I could say, hey, could you do that? And by the way, there's a $20 bill in your glove compartment. So he doesn't have to worry about carrying the grocery money around. But this eliminates that because it's all one giant pot, right, and each person can spend from that. And so I definitely think there is a simplicity level for it, for both the user and for the coach.
Yep. And it's seamless to transfer money from one Qube to the next. So let's say I have $20 of personal spending towards the end of the month that I know I'm not going to use, but we could use an extra 10, 20 in our groceries. I can just transfer that instantly. I don't have to take money from an envelope and then cross out the amount like I used to have to do with envelopes. And then the end of the month, it's just all coins, and who wants to carry around a ton of coins? So yeah, just making it very, very easy to use is great.
Awesome.
So how can we have coaches move forward from here? Is there any way to like get their clients set up in a way that like makes sense for them or anything like that? Where do they even begin? Yeah, so if you have a coach that's wanting to, they could just encourage their clients to download Qube, and we have a link that they can use for that. But if you as a coach want to take advantage of the affiliate program, you can sign up for that as well, and we can include something in the show notes to show them how they can do that, because then there is affiliate revenue that you can make through commissions of clients signing up. If you sign up or you want to be a coach through the Qube program, you also can make affiliate revenue that way. So yeah, it's very simple.
they were doing it through Tune, but now I think they just do it through Qube, and then that gives you access to your Qube dashboard, like I referenced before. That's going to show you all of your clients that you have in there, what membership they currently have, and then it's also really cool. It generates monthly expenses of their income, or monthly statements rather of their expenses, their income, and their lifestyle spending. And so you as a coach can use those statements to help them create financial goals, help them pay off debt, things like that. So yeah, we can definitely provide the links and the instructions on how to move forward with that.
So you're telling me that I could actually make some money off of having my clients use this? That sounds pretty cool. Nice.
So when you say
Awesome.
30%, is it 30% of the fee that they're paying? Is that what you're referencing? Okay, because I don't think that we've addressed the monthly membership yet. I don't think. So could you let them know just a little bit about what they get for free, and then if they were to do a membership, what does that cost, and what would they get differently for that? Very
Nice.
cool. So the coach, the affiliate coach, we get 30% of the $6, the $8, or the $11 each month. Nice. All right.
Very cool. We'll be sure to put the affiliate link or code, whatever we do. I'm not sure. We'll have to talk about that, but we'll put that in the show notes for you guys to find if you are interested in taking a step forward with this. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a really awesome tool that could benefit not only your clients, but also your coaching practice too. So,
yeah.
Yep.
This has been great, Ryan. Thank you so much for coming on here and not just sharing about Qube, but also about your story, about how you recognized that there was something missing for you and that you were willing to take that risk and go and find something that you were able to put not only your money in alignment with your values, but also the work that you do for other people. I think that you're going to be making a real huge impact on other people because of your willingness to step out in faith on that.
Of course. If anyone has any questions that they want to talk to Ryan about directly, we'll be sure to put his contact info in the show notes as well. Of course, we're always wanting to invite everybody into our Facebook group. It's called New Money Habits Financial Coaches. So if you're not a part of that already, hop on in there for some pretty awesome discussions and opportunities to like have our meetups. We have a monthly meetup, and those are always a lot of fun too. And of course, also, if you enjoyed today's show or any show that we have done, we would love it if you would drop us a rating, whether it be on Spotify or Apple or wherever you listen to podcasts. Just give us a rating on the show, because that definitely does help us understand your feedback, and also it helps push the show to other coaches that are looking to grow and expand their legacy too. So thank you, everybody, and we hope that you have a fantastic week, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Financial Coaches Podcast, brought to you by New Money Habits and Sizemore Financial Coaching. Submit your questions to our host by emailing podcast@newmoneyhabits.com. Be sure to subscribe to be notified of future episodes and join our growing group of like-minded coaches on Facebook. And until next time, happy coaching. Music provided by Summer School.